Welcome to this series of interviews where we chat to leading politicians and try and get inside the issues and inside them. So thank you for tuning into this episode where we'll be focusing on the economy, more specifically the North-South divide. Now, we were scheduled to be joined by the Secretary of State, but she's been called away to an urgent meeting, so have now been replaced by the Minister without portfolio.
I do have a portfolio today for this meeting.
So they have sent a Minister without portfolio who today has a portfolio, which is
the economy. Thank you, and it's a delight to be here with my portfolio.
And I take it you are fully prepared and briefed?
Of course.
So on this latest report, which the government has commissioned, which clearly shows a huge difference between the average earnings of people living and working in the north compared to those in the south.
I think you should clarify for the viewers which group earns the most.
Well, obviously, those living in the south, surely.
Not necessarily. That is a prejudice on your part.
But I am correct, aren't I?
On this occasion you are, but it is important not to have any preconceived opinions and to assess the findings purely on merit.
But I am correct in thinking, aren't I, that those in the south earn significantly more on average than those in the north. I mean, that is the key finding of this report.
That is one of the key findings, yes.
Are there any other key findings?
Not really, no.
And what do you deduce from this solitary key finding?
That a massive divide exists between what people in the north earn compared to those in the south.
That's what I said.
Correct.
What? I was correct, or the finding was correct?
Both.
Are you alarmed?
What by? The key finding or your identification of the key finding?
The key finding, obviously.
Of course.
Of course.
Of course.
And what actions do you plan to take in response to this key finding?
Well, I, and by I mean the government, plan to take an innovative approach to solving the problem that this key finding finds.
The problem is there's a massive divide between what those people in the north earn compared to those people in the south.
Correct.
And what is the innovative approach?
We are going to move the location of the north-south divide.
Move it?
Correct.
From where?
Well, the current north-south divide is based on a line drawn across the country from east to west, somewhere in the middle bit.
Middle bit?
Correct. Across the middle bit.
And why was that chosen as the original divide?
It's a very good question, and one that you would have to ask previous governments who came up with the original divide.
And where are you planning to move it to?
Well, as a government of the people, we want all people in all parts of the country, even the north, to earn the same amount, on average.
As in those in the south, you mean?
Correct.
So back to my question. Where are you planning to move it to?
We believe everybody will earn the same amount if we move the north-south divide down a bit.
Down a bit? How far down a bit?
Oh, quite a bit.
Can you be more specific?
Down to somewhere in London.
London?
Approximately.
Approximately London?
North London, approximately.
So anybody who's living in North London is now classed as living in the north? Correct.
You've got it. Even the name works. North London, in the north. I can't believe nobody has thought of it before, to be brutally honest.
Probably because North London is in London, the south.
Not anymore it isn't. People are going to have to think differently from now onwards.
So let's explore this further. What you're saying is, if we move the north-south divide to North London.
Slightly lower than North London. We need to include the whole of North London, so the River Thames seems as good a place as any to locate the new north-south divide.
So if we move the north-south divide, let's say, to the River Thames, then the average salary of the people to the north of this line...
in the north, you mean?
In the north, yes. Will be the same as those people in the south, but in the south.
Correct. Brilliant, isn't it?
But those in the north, the old north, won't be earning any more money.
Well, in theory they will. They'll be in the new north.
But not actually.
Not actually, no. Unless they moved.
Unless they moved to the south.
No, to the north. Well, the new north. Well, North London. In the new north.
So if somebody moved from the old north to, say, North London in the new north, then they would earn more money.
In theory, if they could get a job that paid more money.
Can you guarantee that?
Well, I can't make promises I can't keep. But surely this new approach is reason enough to be joyous up there in the north.
Is that the new north or the old north?
Forget the old north. It doesn't exist anymore.
So what about people living in the south, the new south? Will they be earning less then?
That is the beauty of this new approach. In theory, they will be earning less, but in fact, they'll be earning exactly the same as they were before. Brilliant, isn't it?
Let me get this straight. Those in the south, the new south, south of the
River Thames,
will be part of the new south, but it won't affect what they earned before the divide was moved, but it won't affect what they earn at all.
You've got it.
Is this just a paper exercise to make you look good?
Try telling that to the people of the north, who will now earn more on average.
But not actually earn any more.
You're trying to split hairs now.
What about the emotional impact of those people who previously lived in the south but now live in the north? How do they feel? How would you feel? What do you think?
There's nothing for them to fear about living in the north, and we will be sending them some information relating to changes they may have to make to their behaviour, lifestyle, language, cuisine, that sort of thing.
What if they still want to be Southerners? Should they move further south?
Gosh, no. We certainly won't be encouraging that.
Why not?
Because it will skew the data, and we'll have to move the north-south divide all over again to rebalance it. In fact, we are actively discouraging any movement across the divide. Naturally, people will want to live in the more prosperous south, but in the new world, it will be financially irrelevant where you live, as we will be all earning the same.
On average?
Correct.
So where do you live in this new world divide then?
I'm still in the south, fortunately.
I thought you lived north of the River Thames.
I do, but by some geographical anomaly that I don't fully understand, the person who drew the new north-south divide on the map put the avenue that I live on in the south. Well, half of my avenue in the south. The top half, the half I live in, falls into the south, fortunately.
And do you know the person who drew the line on this map?
Vaguely. I recall that we bunked together at boarding school.